These ornaments are perfect for your own tree or to give as a gift. I'm Carol with Covered Bridge Decor, and I started with these ornament blanks from Hobby Lobby. They have a jute string on the back, and I didn't like that, so I pulled them out with the staple out, and then I drilled a hole where I wanted my hanger to go and painted them with white chalk paint. And then I took this decoupage paper from Asket collection. I'll put the description in the bottom. And I used my DIY Liquid Patina on my ornament. And then I wet my decoupage paper and went around the edges just a little bit with my fingernail. And didn't have much room, but it worked. And then I coated the top with more DIY Liquid Patina. Then I was deciding how I wanted to rim it, and I used the IOD Trimmings 1 mold. There's one of the trimmings areas has, it's almost leaf-like looking, and it has little like berry dots on it. So I thought maybe that would give it a wreath look. So I cornstarched my mold and used my DOS air dry clay. And then, I worked it with my fingers. And then I took my palette knife to try to get it as flat as possible on the back. And then I used Titebond Quick and Thick around the edges of the ornament and just started putting my mold, wrapped it around so it was front and back. And I did have to piece it a little bit, but you can just add some Titebond where they join, and it joins up pretty good. And then at the top, that looked odd, so I just took a couple of those little leaf-like things and added them in there just so the height would be correct. I do add holly leaves in toward the end to make that a little prettier. And after I got my molds and they had set a little bit, I used apple barrel spring green on them. And then I was deciding what to put on the back. There's an area on one of the ornaments where you could still see the white of the ornament. And I deal with that later, just putting a little brown in there. It covered right up. Now these are from Amazon. They're not like IOD transfers or anything, so you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. But the white was very stark, so I base painted that with Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Limestone. And then, trying to give it a little parchment paper look, I used some burnt umber and ivory paint by Apple Barrel and just modeled that up a little bit. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. These are not, I'm going to call them stickers. They're not even transfers. And I've used them before. They're just not the same quality, but they are great for price, and the size fit well in these ornament bags. And I had a devil of a time getting that clear sheet off of this one. And I tried everything. My fingernail wouldn't go under there. My scissors wouldn't go under there. So I just got my Cricut weeding tool, and I finally got that off. And when I got it off, I did take a little tiny piece of very fine sandpaper. It may have even been 300 grit. I don't know. It was from my gator sander, and it doesn't say on the back. And I was trying to get some of that shiny look off, and the sanding paper does help. It makes it look a little bit better and not, quite so in your face. This is a sticker, basically. And I ran into issues with the second one. That one went fine, and I thought everything was dry on my paint. I didn't have any trouble with this one. But when I got to the second one and I started to peel that clear backing off, so I would just have my sticker, it pulled off part of the paint. And I was like, oh Lord. but it's okay. I still have my little paints out, and I just got a real fine brush and went around and modeled it up, and it covered up just fine, no problems. And then this is a little Amazon mold. It's holly leaves with some berries, and I chose the middle size, and that is all-in-one paint in the color Trinity. And I painted those before I put it on because, Lord, I didn't want to do all that fussy painting around that. And then I decided to paint the top of my ornament where the hole was in that same Trinity green. And this is Master's Touch in the color Crimson. If you're going to be doing a lot of Christmas painting, it's a good value, and I think it's a real pretty color, pretty red for Christmas. It's not bright. It's got a little more burgundy to it, and I liked that. That's where I'm cleaning up where that white was showing. So I did all my dots like berries, and I got my berries done on the top of those holly leaves. And then I had to let that dry for a little bit. Now I'm taking Waverly. They call it white, but it's more of a cream color. And I thought that would go in good with the colors I had going on this. And went over all of that and let it dry. And then I put a little velvet ribbon for my hanger. My trees aren't up yet, but they're going up soon. But I did have a wreath base, so I just hung it on an evergreen wreath base so you could see what they look like. And this is what I'm calling the front, and this is the back. So I cleaned that up pretty good and got most of the shiny off. I think they turned out real nice. These are for a gift, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. I sure hope you'll join me on the next one. Thanks.